I've got it! The previously ons will stop once Marvel has wasted a collective 5 years of my life, giving me a greater appreciation for those who lived through the blip.
Discount Jeremy hates previously on segments cliche.
Why do TV shows think that showing a character hearing a suspicious noise but choosing to dismiss it is any less ridiculous than the character just not hearing said noise?
I feel pretty certain that you would have seen this anyway if Harrow simply hadn't heard it. Besides, Harrow thinks that he's basically won at this point. This is simply him being cocky.
So he gets to turn his cane into an axe staff just for finding Amit's game piece? Show us some weird level ups.
But why is this weird? He never explains why this is a sin. He just randomly calls it weird and then moves on.
Layla acts like this is some kind of burial at sea and that she doesn't just submerge him in the scummy surface runoff that's found its way into this ancient Egyptian tomb.
Again, why the hell is this a sin? Did you want Layla to drag Mark's body out of the water and bury it? That's stupid because she's still trying to stop Harrow.
Also, Layla's seen some pretty crazy shit at this point, so wouldn't she at least think about preserving Mark's body, knowing the shenanigans Khonshu might be able to pull to revive him?
Like I just said, Layla still wants to stop Harrow, meaning that time is of the essence. Preserving a body is not a quick task. Also, I'd be thrilled to hear how you expect her to preserve a corpse with the available materials. Do you think there's a store in the tomb that sells the necessary materials?
It's pretty stupid to leave behind the one thing that could potentially lead someone back to the Ushapti in Arthur's possession. It's an entire distinct pantheon of stupidity unto itself to leave said thing with someone who has already been returned from the brink of death once before, while said person's companion is still at large. Of course, the above is made totally moot because Layla doesn't even use the damn thing to track Harrow. She just follows them out of the damn tomb and gets into the car with them.
If you're admitting that your previous sin is moot, then why did you keep it in the final video? Also, why is it a sin that Layla simply followed them? That seems like a pretty logical course of action to me.
You need to show us your soul.
The righteous ray of reckoning was omnidirectional, so why didn't it cast its periwinkle wave over Layla?
Harrow was only focusing his power on the soldiers because he was only judging them, meaning that his power didn't affect Layla.
Purple, 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 purple staff, brown suit, judging all the people rolled up at the checkpoint, judging all the people falling around the people, stealing purple from the people falling around the people, cause my evil purple steeple people.
Discount Jeremy kind of tries to sing in a video cliche.
This is the face of a good man.
Said without seeing his face.
Jesus Christ, stop taking everything too literally.
Don't do it. Layla, wait. I am the goddess Taweret.
Yeah, never mind. That's not weird at all and in no way worthy of anything more than a slight sideways glance.
You mentioned earlier in the video that Layla has seen some pretty crazy shit and should therefore be thinking about how to resurrect Mark, but now you're acting as if she should be freaking out because of the appearance of an Egyptian goddess. Pick a lane, dude.
Layla's standing right there in the middle of these assholes and no one even notices. They may be good people according to Amit, but I'm wondering if a more strict criteria should be followed in terms of recruitment. Maybe more of a focus on situational awareness.
Okay, but most of Amit's followers have never actually seen Layla's face, meaning that they don't know what she looks like. Therefore, blending in with them is not that unrealistic.
Does this staff come with a f***ing instruction manual? How does Harrow know this will open up the pyramid?
Dude, you're asking questions about the logistics of a magical staff that uses the power of an Egyptian goddess. The answer to all of these questions is, it's magic.
Why? Harrow.
That's your who, not your why.
Discount Jeremy is a grammar Nazi.
This doesn't need to happen.
Yes, please immediately cut away from the epic battle of the gods. I'm sure this showdown will hold absolutely zero interest for any of us, you rotten crypt teases.
Based on the way you constantly sin action scenes for being mindless, I'm fairly certain you would have sinned this episode if they had shown the battle.
This is all so avoidable.
Indeed. All the confusing character motivations were avoidable, and I'm happy you've come around to my point of view.
Discount Jeremy is still too stupid to understand this show. Honestly, he should just stick with children's cartoons if he can't comprehend simple things like this.
So, to trap these gods in these statues, it takes a ceremony with 5 avatars casting a spell while holding hands, but to release them from the statue, you just spike it on the ground in the end zone?
Yes. Next question.
Also, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to infer that the Ushapti has to be smashed inside this specific end zone in order to free the Kinder surprise inside. If not, why wouldn't Harrow have destroyed it as soon as he got his hands on it? And if so, why aren't these pesky gods imprisoned in the Ushapti and then yeeted outside so there's zero chance of exactly this situation ever happening?
Oh my god, you're stupid. Yes, they can only be released in this pyramid. You asked why the Ushaptis aren't kept in other locations to avoid the gods being released, and that's dumb because Amit's Ushapti was kept in a separate location. Literally the first 4 episodes of this show were dedicated to Harrow trying to find it, you dumbass.
Your scales lack balance.
Kind of a dick thing to say to the person that just freed you. Imagine if the first thing your boss said to you when they got back from vacation was, "You suck and you're a bad person."
So you're sitting a goddess who wants to murder people for crimes they haven't committed yet for being a dick? Do you see why that's dumb?
They lack balance because of what lies ahead of you. What lies ahead of you is your service to me.
Now imagine if your boss said, "You suck and you're a bad person because you work for me."
Discount Jeremy double dips cliche.
Also, this might be a weird question, but I'm beginning to wonder if anyone bothered to check if the scales have been properly calibrated.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
Because you won't win against Harrow and Amit alone.
I'll take my chances.
I understand not wanting to work with Khonshu, but the alternative is taking your chances fighting a god, all alone, with only your unfounded optimism at your side.
And that's literally the exact point that the show makes itself. Why are you sinning something that the show explicitly states?
Khonshu, time has been cruel to you.
I'd say he's a fucking skeleton. But the writer should know that when I point these things out, you get 1 sin. And when you point them out but don't provide an explanation, you get 3 sins.
So you want the show to stop at its tracks and give an explanation for why Khonshu looks the way he does? That might be the dumbest sin in this entire video.
Leave here, and you can't return.
Show thinks this is an ultimate sacrifice, but they've been breaking more rules in the afterlife than Bill and Ted. So I'm pretty sure Mark just figures there's probably a workaround.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
As this is Marvel, of course, no one's powers are explained or quantified, but I think it's safe to say these two gods should have more in their arsenal to try before having to resort to bashing into one another.
Jesus Christ, you are yet again asking the show to stop in its tracks and give an explanation on the powers of these gods. Aren't you the same guy who constantly sins exposition? Second, why do you want their powers to be quantified? That's basically the same thing as wanting to know who's going to win the fight before it even happens. And third, you're asking the show to make this battle a big clusterfuck of magical abilities when I'm 100% certain you just sin that anyway.
I kind of remember removing sins for Marvel being brave enough to kill off a main character and then something about promising to resend them if they didn't follow through. I apologize if all that feels a bit inconsistent, but if the show is going to be vague with what is and isn't reality, I'm going to be vague with what is and isn't sinnable.
I know he removed a sin here, but he still said that the show is being vague when it's really not that vague at all. If you have more than 5 brain cells, then you can understand everything.
How the heck are we going to get to Cairo?
You forget, little worm. I am still the god of the night sky.
Yes, but how does that work in the middle of the day? He's either accelerating the rotation of the Earth to make it night prematurely, or he's accelerating the passage of time itself. Either would seem to beget some unintended side effects.
Again, all of this is supernatural. When you're dealing with literal magic in a TV show, it's fair to say that the normal rules of logic don't apply.
We need to imprison Ahmed in a mortal form.
A body instead of a statue.
If a person is being used as a vessel, similar to a statue, how does this make Amit more vulnerable? To get out, Amit should just have to break the person like they broke the statue.
The implication is that Amit wouldn't be able to use his powers from within the person, at least not in order to break the person. Furthermore, trapping Amit in a human body makes her as weak as the human body, so killing her would be no different than killing a person.
We need more avatars than we have left.
My DM to James Cameron somehow makes its way into this episode.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
Amit starts sucking up all these souls and grows super tall, which I thought was weird on its own, but then Khonshu does the same thing after eating 0 souls, so now we have no idea if the soul munching was necessary or all for show.
She was probably just munching down on some souls for fun. Why is that a sin?
Sending the needlessly aggressive deployment of this wing-sword combination as a potential hazard and public nuisance.
Sins like these are the reason why I say that TVSins has gone severely downhill. This sin is not legitimate criticism, it's not funny, and it's not satirical, so it's really just a waste of time.
But this kid also stayed in harm's way to ask this question, and that's not the type of curiosity we want to encourage.
The girl was in shock from the literal battle of gods going on around her. She's not thinking clearly, dude.
This is the equivalent of trapping a few feathers. It's not even the meat of the wing. I mean, her arm. Basically, Scarlet Scarab can't wriggle out of this one because plot.
Or because there's metal trapping metal. Sure, if it was something trapping actual bird feathers, she would be able to get out. But her wings are metallic, meaning that the feathers don't move like normal feathers.
The fight between Khonshu and Amit seems mostly inconsequential. The literal god fight takes a backseat to the avatars. And while it's nice to see that Marvel is more aware of the inherent problems here than DC, the story seems to be trying to ignore it.
Didn't you just complain about the god fight being stupid because of the lack of powers? You can't sin it and then immediately contradict that sin by complaining about not seeing it. Also, what the hell did that second part of the sin even mean? It was very vague, and now I have to guess at what he means. To be fair, I'm just gonna guess that it was probably stupid, because, let's be honest, that's their bread and butter, but still.
Okay, buddy, make sure you really test the bulletproof nature of that wing before trying her legs, hands, or any other exposed body parts. Yeah.
Of course, you slowed the clip down to make it seem more egregious, but in reality, this all happened within the space of a few seconds, and you failed to take reaction time into account. You're also not thinking about the adrenaline this guy has because of the fight, meaning that he's not thinking logically.
Show subverts the whole how's he going to get out of this one by not showing it at all and asking us to just assume that whatever happened was cool.
And that's the point. We are shown that there is a third personality inside Mark's body, but the story is from Mark and Steven's perspectives, and seeing as they don't know about Jake Lockley, we are only shown the aftermath of these scenes because that's also the only thing they see.
Hammett is dragging away what looks like an unconscious Khonshu. Unconscious Shu? But how does that even happen? Can gods be knocked unconscious?
If the episode shows you an unconscious god, why would you ask if a god can be knocked unconscious? The episode is literally answering your question as you ask it.
Harrow, I know how to stop Amit.
Probably wouldn't bother Layla. Judging by the way Harrow's neck stays perfectly straight as Mark lifts him, I'm fairly certain rigor mortis has already set in.
What the hell is this, Sin? Is he trying to say that Harrow's head should be flopping around? Cause that's stupid, seeing as this scene isn't fake and that's just Ethan Hawke being lifted up, meaning that it's not unrealistic at all.
Yeah, I don't think you know as much as you think you do.
Who? Me? Oh no. I know exactly what's going on. I have a firm grasp on what's real and what's actually just in Mark, Steven, or Mystery Player number 3's head.
Can you please just fucking skip?
I'd rather go save the world.
Saying this after you've decided to no longer be the Moon Knight is like taking your glass-filled shoes off after you've already suffered massive blood loss.
What? You do realize that Mark agreed to be the Moon Knight until they stopped Amit, right? With that in mind, this sin makes no sense.
Meet my friend, Jake Lockley.
Hoy te toca perder.
Show does not end with a Moon Knight will return, leaving me with so many unanswered questions. Why are Mark and Steven unaware of Oscar the Grouch? Is he another coping mechanism created by Mark? If so, why is he speaking Italian? Why did the Egyptian gods intervene with Amit's plans but not Thanos?
I understand that you have a lot of questions, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean there's sins. Just because you don't understand something yet doesn't mean you never will.
Hey, look at there. Didn't I tell you it was finger licking good?